Hey guys, welcome back to Jess and Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I am binging Bridgerton. That's right, it is March 25th and Bridgerton just came out. I am so freaking excited that I have the day to actually binge the entire season. So my plan is to do a vlog style review of season 2 of Bridgerton. So after every episode, I'm going to react to it, my in the moment thoughts, and kind of give my unfiltered opinion about how the season is shaping up. I'm kind of curious to see if my initial reaction after each episode, if my feelings will change by the end of the season, so that's why I decided to do that. And it also just feels like I'm chatting with friends while I'm actually binging the show. I'll probably do another video just kind of like deep diving into the differences between the book and the movie or the TV show and seeing how I feel about the adaptation as a whole once I'm through with it all. Also, by now, it's not a secret any longer that I was invited by Netflix to fly to LA so that I could view a couple of scenes from the new season of Bridgerton. So I've seen a few scenes from the new season, and they had us kind of react to it, talk about the differences between the book and the show. They did include like small clips of us asking Julia Quinn questions and our reaction to the scene where Anthony falls into the lake, but there were other scenes that we actually saw, and I don't know if they're gonna do anything with that footage, but it's just gonna be interesting to see the scenes in like the entire context of the episode. But anyway, I digress. Let's actually get into the episodes and my reaction to each one. It's been so long since I've done a vlog style video, and I'm so excited that it could be Bridgerton. So yeah, I honestly don't have much to say besides, yes, I do have slight expectations for season 2. I have seen certain scenes that Netflix showed me when I flew out to LA, and I did like all the scenes that I saw. But yeah, without further ado, let's start episode 1. And after I'm done binging that episode, I will let you know all of my thoughts. First episode down. I'm so excited. Okay, a few things. The first meeting of Kate and Anthony is pretty different, and at first I was kind of like a little bit offended because I really love their first meeting in the book. I love how Kate actually talks to Colin first and kind of puts Kate and Anthony in the situation where he knows that Kate is not a fan of Anthony's reputation, and Anthony thinks that he can charm the pants off of this spinster's sister so that he can marry the younger one, and she just completely blows him out the water, gives him the set down of his life, and he's just kind of like, oh, what the hell, Colin, you set me up. And I just love that like sibling kind of thing. But I really did like the banter between Benedict and Anthony anyway. So we have Kate escaping on a morning ride, and they're being sponsored by Lady Danbury. I was wondering if they were going to keep Mary as Kate's stepmother, and they do, but it's just a little bit different. The background and a lot more involvement with Mary's parents and the stipulations that they're putting out for Edwina's dowry, which I find very interesting, and I think it actually works really well for the story. It accomplishes the same things and also ups the stakes just a little bit and puts more pressure on Edwina, because Edwina in the book, you know, she is feeling the pressure. She has to marry well so that she can kind of save her mother and her sister, because they are running out of money. They don't have any more. And now there's this pressure from her grandparents being like, we'll provide a dowry for you, but you have to marry an English gentleman. One of my favorite parts about episode 1 was Anthony starting to interview his prospects. I had a good laugh at his line of questioning and the responses from the girls, and I thought that was great, and it was so humorous, and I loved it. And then comparing all the answers that Edwina gives him during the first dance, and he's just kind of like blown away, like, oh, this is what I've been missing, and she just so happens to be the diamond of the season. Now, I kind of like that the queen is naming the diamonds, because in the books and in lots of historical romances, the girls who are most sought after is just kind of like depends on what kind of body type and coloring is popular at the time. Oftentimes it's like petite, blonde-haired, blue-eyed women who are considered like the diamond of the season. So just having the diamond be selected based on the whim of a queen just kind of takes away a little bit of like the, I don't want to say ick factor, but just kind of like the subjectiveness of beauty, I guess you would say. It's better that the queen's whim decides the diamond. diamond. Now, I will say I already saw that scene, the scene where Queen Charlotte picks Edwina as her diamond and Edwina and Anthony's first scene dancing together. I did see that one at Netflix, so I was very excited about it. And I was like, oh no, Edwina is kind of like, she's charmed by Anthony, and her voice is like so husky, and I was just like, oh my God, is she already falling for Anthony? And of course, when Kate steps in and she's just like, there's stuff you need to know about him, I was like freaking out. I was like, yes, we see in the way that he stared after them. It all makes sense now that we know that Anthony has already met Kate, was kind of blown away by her horsemanship. Then they had that confrontation in the garden, which he was just kind of like, whoa, what kind of woman is challenging me? It's just perfect. So I very much enjoyed the first episode. I also really like the introduction of the new Lord Featherington from America taking over, and I'm very curious to see how his character is going to be incorporated in the season, what kind of trouble he's going to make for Lady Featherington. But I mean, it seems like he's going to let the sister, have her dowry, be able to get married and stuff like that. But I'm just curious to see what kind of guy this is. I love all his moose heads and bearskin rocks. God, it's funny. It's like the wilds of America coming to the London Ton. I also really love, I don't want to spend too much time talking about each episode because, it's going to be 8 episodes that I'm going to be talking about, but I also really love the little glimpse that we see of Penelope trying to escape each time to get her issue of Whistledown to the printers before morning. And how Eloise actually being out complicates that a bit. Because it is hard when you think about it, a woman who's unmarried under the supervision of her parents and her mother, overbearing as she is, to find the time to escape to go do all that. And I really like how she puts on her little costume and her accent to act like she's delivering it for her mistress. And so she's really doing it all herself. And I really like that. Shows her resourcefulness, and I just kind of really love that excitement. And of course, I really feel like Eloise is such a highlight during the season. I love her struggles with society and the Ton and being compared to Daphne. I thought that was a really good conversation that she had with Penelope during the ball. Okay, so I'm excited. I'm ready for episode 2. I will update you guys after that one. Okay, so we are 2 episodes down now. Lots to say, but I'll try to condense it. I am a little bit put off by how controlling Kate seems in this adaptation. I do love Kate's protectiveness with Edwina, but she's never overbearing in her protectiveness when it comes to Edwina. And maybe it's because we don't see too many scenes with them together discussing the courtship. Edwina is doing her own thing and we're mostly following Kate in the book. But I never get the feel that Kate, if she sees Edwina looking obviously distressed, as we do see her in episode 2, Edwina's very distressed at the fact that Kate's kind of making a spectacle of herself in the way that she is putting off Anthony's pursuit of her, and it's upsetting Edwina, and Kate just doesn't seem to care, and I don't love that for her. We all know Kate wants the best for Edwina and wants her to have a love match, but it's so obvious that Edwina is disappointed in the way that her sister's handling this, and she's trying to speak up and Kate won't let her, and I don't love that. And it's kind of the same problem that I had with Anthony and Daphne's relationship in season 1. It's the writers made a point to make them at odds, where the siblings were so stubborn and strong-headed, knowing that they knew best, that they didn't care that they were hurting their sibling in the process, and it's repeating itself in season 2, and I don't love that, because I really admired the relationship between Kate and Edwina in the book, and I just don't think that that's translating as well as I hoped it would in season 2. I still think that Kate carries great affection for her sister, but it's just, I hate to see Kate acting this way because it just feels more about Kate and what Kate thinks is best than what she thinks her sister deserves at this point. It definitely looks like Kate's the bad guy right now, and I don't love that for her. But Lady Danbury did make some great points to Kate, because Kate's just I'm fine being alone, you look happy. And Lady Danbury's I have experienced so much of life. I'm decades older than you. You don't want to be so isolated because you might feel unfulfilled. You might regret it later on in life. There's certain things that you think you can do without, but then once you get too old to do them, like getting married and having children, what if you regret it? Because at this point, her protestations seem like she's trying to convince herself. And so I really liked that Lady Danbury had a come to Jesus meeting with Kate about that whole incident. Interesting that Mr. Dorset is somebody that Anthony knows. I can't say too much about that because, well, in the trailer, we do see Kate rowing with him. So he crops back up, but I don't know. I don't know what role he's going to play. I'm side-eyeing him a little bit. I don't particularly like his character, but I don't know if Mr. Dorset is going to be our, what's his name? Mr. Bagwell, the person who's courting Edwina secretly in the book. I don't know if that's our replacement character, but I'd be interested to see. So another theory that I had going to season 2 about the revelation of Penelope as Lady Featherington and the writers utilizing that to kind of up the stakes of will Penelope get caught? They're definitely playing on that because Eloise is so determined to find the printer that Lady Whistledown is using. At the end of episode 2, Penelope is going to a little market dressed in her costume and the modiste caught her. She was very obvious about it though. Penelope just like turned tail and ran, like shoving people out the way. I'm just like, oh my God. I will say, as much as I love the show, sometimes the acting can be so ham-fisted, and sometimes it could be so subtle and beautiful, like when Benedict was giving Anthony an example of poetry and the power of poetry and words, and if they come from your own heart and stuff like that, like that's what's powerful. It was such a beautiful moment and I really love that, but then sometimes it could be so over the top, the acting, and I don't know if it's direction, because obviously these actors have range. They can be subtle, they can do these things, but sometimes I just feel like maybe the direction is for more drama, more loudness, and I don't love that. But I don't blame the actors for it sometimes. I don't know. Overall, still really enjoying it. Definitely enjoyed episode 1 more than episode 2, and it's mostly to do with Kate's characterization at the moment. But again, we have 8 episodes total, and I feel like, or at least I hope, that Kate's going to have a little bit of a softer approach and really start to consider Edwina's own mind and own feelings in the coming episodes. I still can't quite pinpoint what the new Lord Featherington's purpose is. What role is he going to play in the show? Because it just seems like that's a foil to Lady Featherington, which is not my kind of top priority when watching the season. I don't have much investment in her storyline unless it has something to do with my main Bridgerton characters. Trying to think of anything else that I really want to say about this episode, but no, I think that that's good. I'm ready for episode 3. I'm going to get up and move around a little bit first because I feel like those episodes, I haven't looked at how long the episodes are, but yeah, I definitely need to like get up, move around. Maybe unload my dishwasher and then come back and watch the next episode. Feel a little productive. Okay, just finished episode 3. It actually took me a while to start episode 3 because I did like some stuff around the house and then stuff happened, okay? Obviously, I actually got dressed for the day. And episode 3 starts off with the most heart-wrenching scene. They really showed the death of Edmund Bridgerton. They changed it slightly to where Anthony actually witnessed the death of his father, which I didn't mind that change, and they really showed like Violet's grief. I thought that was very important to understand like why Anthony was so against marrying not for love. He didn't want to leave someone like that, like his mother was, unable to experience the joy of life, be involved with her family. Obviously she got better, but it was just so traumatizing to him. It's no wonder why, and I'm glad that he kind of had that, not really conversation with Violet, but she's aware why he is the way that he is now. The Pall Mall scene was beautiful. That was one of the scenes that I got to watch for Netflix. So I saw the whole scene where Kate and Anthony were in the woods looking for their ball and getting stuck in the mud. And that's like, I love that moment so much. I was kind of blown away by that moment with them together falling in the mud, because then you could just see they're like of one mind at that moment. They're finally like leveling with each other. They're not in competition so much in the way that Kate is just trying to keep him away from Edwina in that moment. They're actually just kind of like being their own person in this moment without Edwina between them. And it was just really beautiful. And I love that they had that moment together. Now, I will say it's interesting that they have Edwina more invested in the way that Anthony is courting her. She does want to marry into this family, or at least she thinks that she wants to marry Anthony. And I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't want her heart to get broken when Kate ends up with Anthony in the end. So I don't know how they're going to make that okay, you know? But I also really love the moment where Kate is talking to Edwina after Anthony almost sort of proposes at dinner and then he doesn't. And she's kind of blaming herself, and you can see that pressure that's really getting to Edwina. And now she's thinking there must be something wrong with her. And so I just really enjoyed that moment. Because we know in the books that Edwina was feeling that pressure. She really wanted to marry somebody who had more similar interests to her. But the problem with this discrepancy between book and show is that Edwina was never interested in Anthony. She was always interested in somebody else, a scholar. And she was really taken with Anthony whenever they were talking in the drawing room as Violet and Lady Danbury looked on. This is one problem that I do have, though, speaking of Lady Danbury. She's very involved in this matchmaking endeavor between Edwina and Anthony, and we don't see a lot of Mary, actually. She's very absent as a mother and as a chaperone. She's just not there because Lady Danbury's taking that role, and I feel like that's a shame because I loved Mary's character in the book, and she just has nothing to do in the show. I don't even know why. I mean, she's just there because they need a mother to be able to bring them to London, but seriously, Lady Danbury's taking all of the spotlight when it comes to that motherly role for the girls, and I don't love that. And I guess it's because like everyone loves I loved Lady Danbury in the books, but she's more comedic relief, and she just has no filter and says whatever she wants at balls. We mostly see her at balls whenever the ton is all together. But now it's like the showrunners want to include Lady Danbury in everything. So she's going to be involved in every storyline now. And I just feel like they're forcing that, and I don't really love it. I do love Lady Danbury, but I don't feel like she needed to be this involved for this season. That's my personal opinion. Also, I have to say that Benedict being so anxious about his acceptance letter into that art program, it was kind of really adorable. He's been really funny this season. He's very, very charming. I honestly can't wait for his season. I just hope that Sophie is going to be his love interest. If Sophie's not, I'm going to be so sad. But yeah, I loved all the flashback scenes. I thought that was very, very, very important in order to see like why Anthony is the way that he is. So overall, I do like this episode, and the episode does end with the bee sting, except it plays out a little bit different, and I'm okay with that, actually. I'm okay with the bee sting not being the moment where Anthony and Kate get engaged. It's more the moment where he kind of realizes, oh crap, I may have more feelings for her than I originally thought, because I could not handle myself at the thought of her possibly dying. And it's more like of a realization thing. So I think it's going to create more conflict in the way that he's courting Edwina, because even though he's been fascinated by Kate and her responses to him, I hope that from this point on, you can see that he's viewing her in a different way and more as a woman that he would be interested in. So I guess we'll see. In episode 4 how that all plays out, whether or not I like the change, but I'm not against it as of the moment. I like the way that it played out. I'm not quite against it. Okay, Penelope and Madame Delacroix. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like the Modiche just being in on it, but I don't know. It's not a terrible move. I don't want to be nitpicky about it. Again, like I said, I think that this is more of a storyline that I'm going to have to see how it plays out to know how I feel about it. So that's what I think. But overall, pretty much enjoying this. So one more episode before we're halfway done. I will let you know what I think about episode 4. Okay, so I finished episode 4. How do I feel about Anthony and Edwina being engaged? I won't pretend like I didn't know that they would be engaged, because that was one of the things that we found out whenever we were in LA. Actually, only Jessica found out. She was the first one to see all the scenes, and it wasn't quite the scene that we saw at all. It's probably going to happen in the next episode, actually, but a character mentions the engagement, the betrothal of Anthony and Edwina. So Jessica told me that, wanting to talk about it, but they had cut it out for me. And I don't know if it was because of Jessica's reaction or they just weren't meant to show that and accidentally showed it to her. I'm not sure. But I already knew that it was going to happen. And seeing how it played out the whole weekend, where Edwina is trying to get Kate and Anthony to spend more time together so that they'll like each other. Which is ironic because they're actually kind of falling for each other. And I feel like Kate definitely acknowledges her feelings a little bit more. It's a little bit more clear that Kate knows that there's something going on. She's feeling a little bit guilty about it. I don't love how invested Edwina is in this courtship with Anthony, because I just feel like it's going to end in so much heartbreak for the sisters. It's more love triangle. than it was in the books at all. Edwina found Anthony charming, but her heart was always somewhere else, and she kind of suspected that Kate and Anthony had more in common. They fought, they bickered so much, and Edwina was smart in the books, and she figured that out. She was like, I always thought that there was something between you two. In the movie, in the show, Edwina is completely oblivious to the feelings brewing between them, even though Daphne can clearly observe them for just like a split second and know something's going on. She's been like giving them side eye the whole time, but Edwina is just like completely oblivious to it, forcing them together to go on the hunt. They had the little moment, and yeah, after Anthony in the library is like in her ear saying like, tell me that you have no feelings for me. And then was interrupted by Daphne. Why, Daphne? But yeah, very, very interesting. I guess we'll see what Edwina's reaction will be once it comes out that they have feelings for each other. I don't know how that's going to play out. I have no idea, because we've already passed the scenes that would have led to a betrothal between Kate and Anthony, the bee sting, Aubrey Hall, the ball. Like, they should be engaged right now, but instead it's Edwina and Anthony. So I don't know how that's going to come about. And I'm curious to see how they do handle that. Edwina and Anthony aren't the only one that gets engaged. Prudence and the new Lord Feathering do. And we find out that he's penniless and he's planning to marry Cressida for her dowry. And now Lady Featherington has kind of fucked that up, which I find a little funny. But I'm assuming that Penelope in some way is going to have to rescue them with all of her money that she's been making from Whistledown. So that's what I'm expecting to happen with their storyline. Oh my God, I was going to completely forget about this. Colin visiting Marina. I definitely don't like Marina's character at all. She is just too harsh, but also it just doesn't feel like, how are they going to handle her storyline? How are they going to handle it? They're going to have to kill her off in an accident or something, right? She doesn't seem depressed, and she says that she's content caring for her children and she's content in her life. Of course, she could be lying, but it doesn't seem like she's in depression. It doesn't seem like she's struggling with that or developing a depressive disorder. I don't know how they're going to handle that. But I did enjoy Philip's intense interest in Colin's travels and just talking about all of the plants that Colin could have seen in Greece. I think he's adorable. I freaking love Philip. I'm biased because I love to serve Philip with love. Anyway, yeah. Oh, poor Eloise as well, getting that awful man to dance with. And I feel really bad. I feel like Violet in the show is not as in touch with her children as she is in the books. I feel like she's much more of an intuitive mom in the books. And in the show, she's just so oblivious. She's just a matchmaking mama, worried about pairing her children off. Of course, she wants them to marry for love, but like she doesn't really know her children's minds. And she like completely misses things. Anyway. So those are my thoughts on episode 4, and I'm ready to move on. Obviously, I'm losing daylight because it's taken me so long to get through the first 4 episodes because of unforeseen circumstances. But yes, I do plan on finishing tonight, so buckle up. I'm starting the next episode. Episode 5 was filled with drama, and I kind of loved it. So my favorite parts were the dinner scene with the Sheffields, which, oh my gosh, they were terrible, absolutely terrible. I really loved the way that Mary stood up after they were pretty much snubbing Kate the whole time. It was kind of horrifying to see that all come together in such a train wreck, where Mary was very unaware and Edwina was very unaware of the situation with the dowry, and it kind of broke my heart when Mary like turned to Kate and said like, what have you done, type of thing. But Anthony's speech was so golden. I loved how he put them in their place and just kind of like, goodbye, like, you are horrible people and I don't want to associate with you. And I just loved it so much. He was truly a hero in that moment, and it was just, I was like slow clapping, okay? Then the moment when they were in the drawing room together before Anthony left, and God, that moment was so intense, and it was so hot, and it was so beautiful. I'm like, this is kind of what I was missing from season 1. Yes, Daphne and Simon had some chemistry together and some moments together, but it was very much like intense, like secret kissing and stuff like that, but this is more like secret, just like almost kisses, and it just plays so beautifully in this show. Their chemistry, the oh my gosh, will they element to it all is just, it's just good. It's just really, really good. It's very heartbreaking though, because, you know, at the end of episode 5, Kate does convince Anthony to continue with the engagement, though it breaks her own heart. She's choosing her sister's happiness over her own, and Anthony is agreeing to it, and it's just so, and Edwina claiming that she loves Anthony, like, it's just, I don't want this, because it just, I don't foresee their relationship ending on a good note the way things stand right now, with Edwina claiming that she loves Anthony. What is she going to do whenever she finds out that Anthony is in love with Kate and Kate is in love with Anthony? Her heart's going to be broken. So the tension between Kate and Anthony is top-notch, amazing, and I loved it. I will say that I'm not a super big fan of the actress who plays Violet, or at least whatever direction she's getting, because I feel like Violet can turn quite judgy during certain scenes, and when she found out about like the whole dowry thing at the dinner, she like kind of looked at Lady Danbury like, oh my god, I can't believe you kept that from me type of thing, like, I'm leaving. And it was just kind of like, I don't know. Violet is one of my favorite like parent figures in romance, period, not just historical romance. So I don't particularly like the casting of Violet or her portrayal in a lot of ways, but that's just a minor nitpick. And of course, Eloise is sneaking off, lying to Penelope. She's meeting with that writer slash works at the print shop or whatever, who he's really cute, but also, I don't know if they're setting up like a romance between Theo and Eloise, but they have a lot of common interest. And the whole point of To Sir Philip with Love is that they're so opposites, Eloise and Philip. So I don't know how I feel about the introduction of this character and how it's going to go. And the way that they're playing with the siblings and their feelings for other people who are not the love interest in the book, it's just kind of a little bit worrisome. Like, again, with the whole Colin thing in the last episode, kind of still pining for Marina. It was just weird. I didn't quite love her coming back into the fold as kind of an object of Colin's affection. So that wasn't amazing. And then, of course, we have Benedict at his art school, and there's a female artist. And I'm just like, I hope it's just another romp in the hay type of thing, just like it was with the Modiste. But I'm just like, I'm still like, time's running out. Are we not going to get introduced to Sophie? Is that just going to be like a flashback scene in season 3 or something of Benedict meeting this? I don't know. They might play around with that story. But I was just hoping to see one, and I don't know if that'll happen. Or maybe it could possibly happen in the next couple of episodes. Okay, so I'm ready for episode 6, and it's probably going to be one filled with drama, and I'm ready for it. Well, that episode was long. I never knew a canceled wedding could last so long, and I'm not exactly complaining about it, because we had some really beautiful moments during this almost wedding. I was very surprised that they let it get so far into the courtship to actually get her to walk down the aisle next to Anthony. The moment when her bracelet dropped and Anthony rushed to go pick it up, and I was like, God, finally Edwina's going to clue in to what's actually happening, thank God. And I'm glad that Edwina stood up for herself, absolutely. A little sad that their relationship wasn't as, I guess, balanced. I feel like Kate and Edwina's relationship was a lot more balanced in The Viscount Who Loved Me. It wasn't Edwina just following mindlessly with Kate's, pronouncements, and she didn't really have her head in the clouds as much as this Edwina did. And Kate wasn't as overbearing and forceful in the direction that she wanted Edwina to go in. I felt like Edwina had more of a mind of her own when it came to stuff like that. And then it helped in The Viscount Who Loved Me that Edwina was not invested in the courtship with Anthony. She thought he was nice and friendly, but she had other people who were courting her. It wasn't like she was being singled out by Anthony with like an invitation to Aubrey Hall before a ball. Like it was all, they arrived with the same guests. So like it wasn't them being singled out or anything to make like a grand statement like, oh, I have picked Edwina for my wife. Anyway, what this series, what this season has done so much better than the first season is the pining. I feel like it's so much more palpable. Like, oh, I could just feel it. I could feel it. All those little moments where they just like touch and look into each other's eyes and have those moments when she's hiding in the closet and Anthony finds her and he grabs her hand so that she won't leave just yet. It was just so good. And those moments just like are so chef's kiss perfect. That's why I read books. That's why I read books, for those moments. And I think that they captured what I love so much about reading romance in those moments. And I think that they did that so, so, so well. I hate that Kate had to get chewed out by her sister multiple times. I also hate that Mary was just kind of like, Kate, get out my sight. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed in the characterization of the mothers in this series. Like I said, I didn't really love Violet's characterization. She's a lot weaker in the series, and Mary for sure is pretty much absent until like moments like this. And I don't know, I just wish that we saw a closer relationship with Mary and Kate. I feel like the only time that we really felt like that bond was at the dinner scene whenever she was defending, like, no, I have 2 daughters, to her own mother, including Kate as one of her daughters, just being like, I consider her my full daughter, even though we're not related by blood. And I wish that we had a little bit more one-on-one time between like Mary giving them advice, and that just really didn't happen. The scene where Violet and Lady Danbury were laughing like in hysterics was kind of awkward to me. I was like, I don't see why. But I did cry. I did cry whenever King George came out. That was a little bit personally emotional to me, just because my grandfather, he had Alzheimer's, and we were pretty lucky with the lack of personality change really with my grandfather. But anyway, it just like brought those memories back, and the way that Edwina perfectly like handled that after everybody else was frozen, just kind of like, what do we do situation. And it was so heartbreaking when the servants were taking him away and he was very resistant, and Edwina stepped in and did the absolute right thing, and it just like brought me to tears, because it was just a beautiful moment. And I thought that Edwina is just, I love those moments for her. But anyway, I hope that she gets her happily ever after at the end of this season. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. But yeah, I mean, 2 more episodes down. I'm pretty sure Kate and Anthony are going to fight each other's feelings for a whole nother episode. So definitely a slow burn series. And Eloise possibly having feelings for the printer. I mean, I don't blame her. He's super cute, but I guess I'm worried about how, for people who have not read the books yet, how is this young, cute apprentice who shares all of her feelings about women's rights and all that, how is he going to stack up in other people's minds compared to Sir Philip, who is mostly concerned with botany and his greenhouses, and they seem on the surface to not have anything in common. So I'm just worried that people are going to be like, that's going to be a boring match, and it's not. It's lovely, and I love them together. So I don't know what they're doing with that, but I'm along for the ride. Okay, 2 more episodes to go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Episode 7. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. First of all, I love the cute little family gathering after the ball was a disaster. And they all just like kind of danced around. We saw like little images of that circulating around, and I thought that was really sweet and lovely. Damn, Edwina could hold a grudge. I mean, not a lot of times passed, honestly, but like, whew, she is being super harsh with Kate right now. How is that going to wrap up in the end? Like that sisterly relationship, which I so love from the book, that's really in disrepair in the series. I'm hurting for that. But another complaint that I had for season 1 was that like the sex scenes between Daphne and Simon, it was just, there were so many, and it was like so much like jackhammering, and like it was so over the top. And I was missing that deep, intense connection, which I felt like it happened sometimes in season 1. But like more often than not, it was like the spectacle of like the sex scenes happening all the time, because that's what people think of romance. It's just like, it's just sex scenes. Okay, anyway, this beautiful union of Kate and Anthony was everything that I could have hoped for. It was gorgeously done. I felt it. It was so hot, but in like the most intimate way. It was beautiful. It was perfect. I thought they did such a great job. It just really satisfies me, like on a very deep level, to see. Like you could feel the chemistry from these actors giving life to Kate and Anthony, and the passion that these two have. Like it's so intense. It's so intense. They're so opinionated. They butt heads all the time, and then like when they come together, it's explosive but beautiful and tender at the same time. And I was just, So good. Okay. Other things that happen in the episode, the queen thinks Eloise is Lady Whistledown, and now Penelope has to write something about Eloise, and so she calls attention to her being unchaperoned, which is like, wow, Eloise's reputation could be very ruined from this. I'm wondering what that means for her. Eloise was being very reckless. I mean, she continually went back to that printer even after the queen suspected her. So yeah, that was interesting. I find that Eloise in the books is a lot more savvy and street smart, I get. Well, I mean, she doesn't really do anything before her book, but I feel like she's a little bit smarter in her book, a little bit more impulsive in the TV show, which is fine. I can't say that I'm very invested in the whole Featherington storyline, like the Lord Featherington trying to swindle people. I know that I haven't been mentioning it for a couple episodes now, but the whole storyline with Will, the boxer from season 1, feels like such a forgotten note and element. Like, I feel like he hasn't really been in there at all, and it's just really been forgotten. So yeah. Also, I wonder, Benedict, are you getting addicted to drugs? What's going on with him? Is he gonna have like an addiction storyline, like this artist who just starts drinking a lot and taking all of his specialties and stuff? So I don't know. I find him completely lovable and I love him, but I'm kind of worried about the storyline they're gonna do for him. I'm worried about my baby Benedict, but Colin, please don't invest in this stupid scheme. Like, oh God, I don't know. But I feel like the Featheringtons are those people who always are on the brink of ruin, but they never actually get ruined. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with their storyline at the end of Bridgerton, but it's my least favorite storyline that's happened so far. I was very quickly not invested once it was discovered that the new Lord Featherington didn't have money and now he was gonna scheme and stuff. I was just kind of like, I don't know. Wasn't invested anymore. So yeah. And then we have our moment similar to the books, but completely in a different context, where Kate is getting injured. She's injured. She tried to jump a hedge and her horse threw her. So that's how the next episode's going to start. And I think it's just going to make everyone realize, like, life's too short to be worried about the opinions. Okay, wait, no, I have one more thing to say before I, like, really sign off. Again, another reason why I don't really love Violet's characterization and any of, like, the parents and mother figures in this series is because they're very concerned about the ton and the ton's opinions. And I find that people, at least in my historical romances, especially in the Bridgerton romances, because that's what's relevant, your name carries a lot of weight and you can get away with a little bit more. So the Bridgertons can withstand more scandal and still have high society standing without fear of repercussions and having people like cut them. So I don't know, it just feels like it makes them feel less powerful whenever they're going promenade and everybody's just like snubbing them left and right. And it's like, that's not what the Bridgertons do. They can withstand scandal and hold their nose up in the air and be like, I don't give a fuck what you think. We're still Bridgertons. And that's really lacking in the show. And it's kind of, and like Lady Danbury too, she gives no fucks in the books and she just kind of like at the mercy of society in the show, which is kind of sad. That Violet proclaims she wants Anthony to get married for love, and then whenever it's staring him right in the face and she's witnessing all the looks between Kate and Anthony, her solution is like, let's pretend like everything's fine so that society doesn't think that we're terrible people to associate with. Fuck my son's happiness. And I'm like, that's not really a good move. But, and I'm not complaining about the show. It's just like what I expect from my family that I know in the books, and then what some elements are being portrayed in a way that I don't particularly care for. But if I'm looking objectively at the show, then I think it makes good drama, I guess. But the books are better, just period. The books are better, but they're doing a really good job with Kate and Anthony's chemistry, storyline, their romance. I'm very satisfied with that. So one more episode to go, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on the season. Well, that is a wrap for season 2. Just finished the final episode and it was really good. I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, they really did wait to the final hour to get together, but I did really enjoy the portrayal of Kate and Anthony, which that's the main event of the show, and that's what I came here for, and I was pretty damn satisfied with their relationship overall. Well done. The pining was top notch. I loved their dance in the ballroom at the Featheringtons and how the queen kind of saved them from scandal and rescued their reputation. I really like that because the ton is much harsher in the actual adaptation. So I was glad that she was able to do something good. Now, what was interesting was Eloise finding out about Penelope. I'm interested to see how that plays out after this, because technically that doesn't happen until many years later, many years of Whistledown later. So yeah, also Will actually played a little bit of a significant role in this last episode, warning Colin about the new Lord Featherington's scheme, and he was able to unmask him. And then Lady Featherington turned super ruthless Mama Bear, and she always makes it out on top, man. Like I told you, it's just the Featheringtons are always those characters that skate the line of ruin and always still rescue themselves. So I kind of had a feeling that she was going to do that. And yeah, I will say I had a little bit of a teary-eyed moment when Gregory came to talk to Anthony while he was in his study, and then started asking about Edmund, saying, you know, what was he like? Am I like him, or was he more like you? And that was a really sweet moment where Anthony realized, you know, I never really talk about my father, and I should be able to talk to my siblings about that. And I really like that because I feel like Anthony is more of a father figure towards the younger siblings in the books. He takes that responsibility pretty seriously, and he's pretty involved in all the family matters. Damn, I will say Jonathan Bailey is my favorite performance during this season. He really knocked it out of the park with Anthony, like, so much. And that's like coming from a person who didn't like his portrayal of Anthony in the first season, but I think it was more of a direction thing. They wanted Anthony to act a certain way. I didn't really care for that. And in this one, I loved it. I really did love it. Finally, Edwina gives her forgiveness to Kate after her near-death experience and gives her blessing to go be happy. Make yourself happy, and that's all I want in life, is for you to recognize that you deserve happiness as much as I do and stop lying to yourself finally. Also, Kate's dress at the end, her orange dress, oh my god, it was so beautiful. I love that color on her so much. I also loved it in the previous scene whenever they were having their pre-wedding preparations, and they were all wearing like a deep, like, golden shade. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I wish they wore more of that color. But yeah, I loved their love, and I was very satisfied with it. And I'm pretty sure I talked about the stuff that I didn't really care for during the season. I've already kind of mentioned everything that I didn't love. And as much as I find it interesting that Eloise finds out about Penelope being Lady Whistledown at the end of the season, I wasn't as invested in the Whistledown drama, but maybe that's because, you know, I'm really in it for the couples, and in the books, Lady Whistledown is just kind of like a prelude to the chapters, the real meat of the story. So I'm always used to Lady Whistledown just being like in the background, and her storyline is a little bit more forward in the adaptation. So it's just like, it's easier for me to kind of just ignore it and not penalize the actual season for not really caring for what's going on and being a little bit bored whenever scenes like that were happening. But I don't know, maybe other people who haven't read the books are really invested in that. So overall, I love the season, and I think that it's better than the first. Hands down, much better than the first. I'm very excited to see they didn't really set up season 3. They didn't really, you know, at the end of season 1, Anthony makes an announcement that he's going to look for a bride, and in season 2, it just ends off with them all happy, playing another game of Pow Mal, and yeah, that's about it. So Benedict going to get a story, or they're going to tell Benedict and Colin's story in the same season, because we did have that setup where Penelope overhears Colin telling other people that he would never be courting Penelope Featherington, and it hurts her feelings. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll be getting like a double romance in the next season or not, because, you know, they've been building up Colin and Penelope for a while now. Okay, that is it. I think I've talked enough about everything. And I'm just really happy. I'm really satisfied. I can't believe it's already over, though, binging it all in one day. I did it to myself, but I always have the books to fall back on. Let me know what you thought of the season in the comments down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Did you like some things that I disliked, or did you dislike some things that I really loved? I'd love to have a conversation about it, so just let me know. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified of any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with a little HEA. Bye, guys.